So in the last videos that I did, there was one thing that I didn't mention, which I'm gonna make it a completely different topic, and it's related to what I was explaining with my niece that I did a deliverance on her, and it confirmed everything that I thought had been going on, where her mom was trying to participate in maybe doing some kind of destiny swap with her dad. My niece, actually, I call her my niece. She's my daughter's sister, as she lives with me. So their dad for like many years, and the other woman that he has, I know in DR, have always been like sending stuff to us for like all these, I think like what, like 13 years. But obviously, like for the past 7 years that I brought my niece to live with me, because I felt like, I know that her mom was another woman of their dad who was like poor, and I just said like I'd like for them to like grow up together and everything like this because they're sisters. So obviously, like she's not innocent, or like just asking for the photos. She was obviously participating with the dad to do whatever it is that he was doing. I don't know if that demon was in her for the past 7 years that she's been with me. I don't know if it's something that they renew every summer. I know, like I was explaining, that for many years, I know that they would throw things at me. And there was a time in the past before I started praying where I would go to a lady and she would do cleansings. Like she would take chickens and everything, sacrifice them to clean me from whatever spirits that they were throwing at me. And it was kind of pointless because the woman, their dad's other woman in DR, she is marked. So she does her own spell work, like she's a witch. So I have to pay, obviously, in that sense, to remove these things from me. And she was just like throwing them, doing whatever, like, because she was very envious. And this is why I always say, like, fire cannot fight fire, and Satan doesn't throw out Satan. Like, at that time, like, eventually I got it because I was like, every 5 minutes you have to go pay for someone. You just see that it's like pointless, and it was being done on purpose to kind of also, mess with my finances, right? These are all the demonic tactics, okay? Because again, we wrestle not with flesh and blood. It's all the enemy. He's just using different vessels to continue these kind of things, right? So, yeah, so then obviously when I started like praying and fasting, this is why I really feel that this time around, they probably thought that, when I started praying and fasting, I feel like I broke something or something was sent back. And they probably thought that I had gone back to the lady who used to do all of the cleansings and all of the things, and I didn't. And my theory is, from my intuition, I personally think that they probably did some kind of spell work, and then they realized, like, oops, like she did that through praying, so they didn't have license to do it, and now they're like screwed because obviously when you do these kind of things, you're making covenants with demons, and they don't really care. You're gonna pay one way or the other, and this is where it comes into the fact that, like, these generational curses, these ancestral ties happen because when they do their crap, they like to send it to the next person in their family or in their bloodline, their descendants, whatever. And this is very common in the Caribbean and in the African diaspora, okay? This happens all the time, okay? So I wrote about this, and I'm going to link again my blog because, in this little simulation, uh, for example, it's always said that people with melanin, melanated people, we have an advantage in our DNA, that we have the original bloodline and all of this, and we have ability to activate ourselves and all of this to a greater deal. But so the simulation counters this by keeping people, usually in the African diaspora, in poverty, in struggle mode, tied with all these ancestral, ancestor blood, blood ritual covenants, so that you don't ascend one way or another, okay? So everybody's screwed evenly in this simulation. So anyways, yeah, the thing is that this is done a lot, and I had also heard this done in, I don't remember what I was reading. You know, I always explain, like, my mom is Dominican, my dad is Jamaican, but he's deceased. And imagine that after he died, I dreamt my dad so much in dreams, coming, trying to like cover me from things that, like, I guess after he died, he saw was going on around me. Um, and that's why I always like say, like, I know, like, yes, you do have familiar spirits that take on the image of our relatives sometimes in dreams, but I do really feel like sometimes we are getting visited by relatives. Okay, you just kind of have to know the difference. I think I know the difference. So anyways, yeah, so sometimes they attach demonic entities to people, okay, to children, to whomever. And if that person is in your home, that's an issue, because they're in your home. It's a violation of your space, and whatever is attached to them is meant to create havoc or create loss or contention, whatever, okay? Or sickness, whatever, you don't know, okay? And then it also affects the person who is obviously in the possession of this entity. But this is done so much, you would be amazed. And again, like I said, this was not a stranger. It's never a stranger, hardly ever a stranger when you have these things going on around you, especially when it comes to witchcraft. It's always people around you, relatives, your own, you know, people who are targeted. That's why they keep saying, oh, they got my sister involved. No, they're all Sims. And unfortunately, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's like Sodom and Gomorrah. Like, maybe out of 500 NPCs, maybe 20, 50 might actually be like really decent. I don't know if it's because they're programmed that way. I don't know if their spark is just a little bit stronger than the others. But, you know, it's worth it to just try to help everybody ascend, if also they can ascend. I don't know. I always say, like, you know, once the chosen ones, once we shift the energy and we start to ascend, even the programmed NPCs are going to benefit, because obviously if the world is better for everybody. You know what I mean? Not just for that 1% demonic, you know, how should I say, that 1% elite, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. But anyways, I'm going off on tangent. So yeah, that's the idea, that these kind of things happen, and it's usually always whoever you have around you. You have to be alert. You know, in my case, I have had so many dreams warning me from the past about my daughter's father from the time I met that man. Okay, I dreamt that, like, I had a dream that, like, all his aunts were like vampires in the dream, and in a way they kind of are. They are energetic vampires, you know what I mean? They do destiny swapping, not only to me. And like I said, I never feel like I'm the first when a lot of these things are happening around me, but I really hope I will be the last. I really hope that them messing with me was the last straw, you know, for God to ultimately bring down judgment on them, so that no other person ever has to suffer through the things that happened to me from those individuals ever again. So if there's any good that has come from all of my experiences, I hope that it's that. I hope that, you know, in a way, it was something to train me, okay, spiritually, and it was something to guarantee that would be the last time any of them were ever going to do that kind of evil to another soul ever again. Anyways, so that was my story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions, you can always leave comments, and I can respond to any other ideas or, you know, curiosities that you guys have. And that's all.